live on the television. And of course, you can join us on 98.6 and 106.7 on GRTS radio. This live proceedings at the election house is also unfolding there. And it is day 6 of the nomination process. And this morning, we are expecting an independent presidential aspirant, Esa Mbaifal, and then he is supposed to be here at 9:30 to 10 o'clock. And then at 11, we are expecting the incumbent, and that's the President of the Republic, His Excellency Adama Barrow, and he is the leader of the National People's Party, NPP. And then at 12:30 to 1 p.m., we are expecting another independent presidential aspirant, and it is Mr. Matar Nyang. He is supposed to be here at 12:30 to 1 p.m. Like I said earlier, it is day 6 of the nomination procedures here at the election house along Batil Hardin Highway. My past days, this is unlike what has been transpiring over the years. Candidates, like we used to call them, would come with their nomination papers. The IEC officials will look at these documents and then confirm their candidacy. And this is not what is exactly happening this year as far as the December 4th presidential elections are concerned. This time around, candidates, aspiring candidates for that matter, of the respective political parties and independent candidates are bringing forward their nomination papers, present them before the chairman of the Independent Electoral Commission, and then they are asked to go back. And then those who do not have complete documents are also asked to bring back their documents. And then these documents will be reviewed by the IEC officials. And then on Saturday, they will be subjected to public scrutiny. And then by Sunday, the respective candidates will receive a communique from the IEC to let them know whether they have been confirmed to vie for the December 4th presidential elections. And then this is actually what is transpiring here. And just like I said this morning, we are expecting a presidential aspirant, an independent presidential aspirant, Esa Mbaifal. But before I give you a brief rundown of Esa Mbaifal's biography, I just want to let you know that I'm here on the panel with my co-commentators, and then on my immediate left, I have Mr. Yoro Jallo. Good morning, Yoro.
Good morning, Farmata. It's a pleasure always having you on the platform, of this nature.
Absolutely. It's been a hectic 6 days,
Absolutely.
but it's national development, and then it's a call to duty. Absolutely.
Call to duty, yeah.
All right. On my immediate right, I have Haji Sumundu. Haji, good morning.
Morning, Fatmata. It's a pleasure to have me here.
Right. My colleagues, Tijan Jane and Mr. Baji will be joining me momentarily to continue this panel here this morning. And Tijan just joined us on the platform. Good morning, Tijan. It's good to have you on the platform.
Well, good morning, and thank you very much, Fatmata, Yoro Jallo, and Haji Sumbundu. kon nekk mbokk yi jërëjëf ñu ngi am mbégte dellu si waat tey fi nga xam ne mooy ci maakaani IEC ndax yéen a ngi toppa lu ñu naan nomination watch ndax réeréew leen mbir ne tey la kii nga xam ne mooy njiiti réew mi président Adama Barrow ci njiitali parti NPP dina ñëw pour daal jébal li nga xam ne mooy kayiti ascendem yi dinañ am tamit ki nga xam ne moom mooy Esa Fall mi nga xam ne nag moom it independent candidate la di mbubo lu ñu naan Sobeya ak yeneen yi nga xam ne ñoom itamit dinañu fi aksi Malick Niang moom it di independent yaakaar nañ ne moom itam dina ñëw te moom mooy mujjee ñëw kon Fatmata noonu la fi mbir yi taaje xam naa du yàgga dinañu gis ki nga xam ne mooy Esa mu nar a ànd ak ñi ko boot ñu dar ko indi ko mu ñëw jébbal li nga xam ne mooy ay kayitu sendem ndax loolu dafa bokk ci li nga xam ne nag moom ci benn sarta yi la mooy boo buggee bokk ci jongante lii di presidential election bu réew mi di dégmal ñeenti fan ci weeri décembre faaw rek ñu nominate la te ci biir loolu dafa am yu bari yoo xam ne dinañ la ko ci laaj ñu yoo xam ne nag di nga ko war a teewal parce que xam naa bu ci kanamee dinañu seet yenn ci warugal yi nga xam ne nag ñii di bugg a uutu boppi réew mi lan lañ war a teewal fii ci IEC lan lañ war a teg ci kaw taabul yi xam naa ci kanam tuuti rek dinañ ci xoolaat.
sax Tijaan yow ñaari mbaxana ngay sol tey di nga wax ci kàllaama olof ba pare di nga wax ci soose tamit kon den nga wax ak suñ mbokki soose yi bala ñoo laata jox microphone bi Nuha Badji moom mi nga xamante ne mu ngi join sa plateforme bi sànq rek.
waaw bu ëllëgee nag dama tegal booli ruy
bu baax
comme damaa wax olof wax soose nga def ruy bu saf soow waaw mbaɗigol min be a GRTS juɓe kan seyta ɗon kal mume be konton kal bisimilla koten nomination watch min kana GRTS mbe IEC la korda baale to anno bilom a tili lulu jangoti nomination o min be kering butum bi mbe min mbe ñini ñing mbe ñinga nsafon be minul batu kan wol kono wala keta Essa Mbye Falti ate mo independent candidate leti bar butun ay dala min city ay wole kumandi sobeya ate mela drong ate fanam anyanta na futala nan kala CDA kaytol futandi IEC la ba wol keta strato leti yebi nala IEC ye nominate andung ibe inyilin kala kaytol minula yol fanam yol fanam fintindinam ate Essa Mbye Fall nga jiki ko se dunnan no wato wati IEC la sansango kono aning ala supportal aning akanuntel mini alon ko wolle ba adandan nanan aynanan bi ni wobata je fanan National People's Party min keta NPP His Excellency President Adama Barrow la nyatun ko yakodo ate fanan nga jikilo ko ning Essa bata je drong ate fanan bina futala nan janne min kamala kala CDR kaytul ko fanan futandi IC la min kamala sa nominate mo laban nsa fo presidential aspirant wolon min yalon ko be ñing lapte dadunde la carte fayo ko kono mbe laban na min na bi nga min jiki wala be kela Malik Ñangti ate fana mo independent candidate ledi anun kol be lala jang ñaawo ñaar dong inshallah nali noma na nominations watch programme to GRTS jang IEC la korda bato mba be futande lal male Fatmata.
All right, thank you so much, Tijan Jane. And then, like I said, Mr. Nuha Badji joined us moments ago, and then Mr. Badji will be talking to our listeners as to proceedings here at the election house. Good morning, Mr. Badji. Amite Kati.
Thank you very much, Madam Cissé. Madam Cissé, uli ko baka safi o fonfan kan manje ko comme di kaji kera ko di kajanto raketi ready di television eti Gambia ni munu bi munu kanu drong jata uli ko baka continue di wan manje woyno mi wan kone mi nomination day jat nomination eti jat atu mbeti jowle oyno mi Essa Mbye Fall watu be jo manku nominato mbay Agnes di e junkute yan manje yoyno e junkute yema keti mo meti Gambia mbaci la puto jata ani fanati mo fati Gambia fa His Excellency President Adama Barrow mbajo popo man acila popo agnen wayta wala weti nomination pour Agnes e junkute ti December filanga fetu 4 December election e ban woto uli ko boka safi o fonfan di mukana meti.
All right,
Mr. Essa Mbye Fall Madam Cissé.
All right, Mr. Badji, we will come back to you shortly. But just like we see, Mr. Essa Mbye Fall, the independent presidential aspirant, is making his way into the election house building here along the Batil Harding Highway. And it's also important to tell our beautiful viewers and listeners that Mr. Essa Fall was the lead counsel at the TRRC, where he guided procedures to look at human rights violations that were allegedly committed here in the Gambia between 1994 and then 2017. Mr. Fall is a veteran lawyer who has expertise in human rights law, and in addition, Mr. Fall also has a vast knowledge in criminal law. And then he was appointed by the United Nations at some point, and then he was also based in Rome, where he participated in developing law procedures for developing countries. And then Mr. Fall also served at the International Criminal Court, that's the ICC, where he served as counsel for many victims there, and that will include the former Liberian President Charles Taylor. Well, it was just in August this year, 2021, well, Mr. Essa Fall declared his interest to run for president here in the Gambia. And then since then, his campaign and then his aspirations to serve as president of the Republic of the Gambia has been gaining momentum. Essa had been crisscrossing the length and breadth of the country to sell his agenda, to tell people about his policies and programs, what he intends to do when he assumes the presidency of the Republic of the Gambia. And then key things Mr. Fall has been saying, that is what he intends to look into, is the education sector, the agri sector, and then he also mentioned to look at minimum wage here in the Gambia, as he stated that the salary scale in the country is not attractive, and in fact prompting people to embark on certain activities that are not in line with the laws of the land. He also intends to have a representation, fair representation of women in his cabinet. Among other things, Mr. Essa Fall has been telling people that is exactly what he intends to do when he becomes president. And all this is anchored on what he says is based on his expertise as a veteran lawyer, and then the experience he gained over the years during his profession. And then right now, we can see Mr. Essa Fall's team working in the election house. As it is customary, the candidate is allowed to come in with 50 people, and then he later joins them to present his credentials before officials of the Independent Electoral Commission, who are ably led by the chairman of the Independent Electoral Commission, Aliu Mamar Njai. So momentarily, we are expecting to see Mr. Essa Fall work in the election house. The journalists are busy at the entrance there, and I bet Mr. Essa Fall is the one there. We will give you like pictures, and then just like you're saying, this is exactly what is happening here. And I'll just pass the mic briefly over to Tijan to tell our Mandinkan Wolof listeners what is about to unfold here. Tijan.
Yeah, baraka bake Fatmata ko ya fo nyamen rong sanyin badingol minketa Essa Falti a fanam futata nan janne ya fela dunta nan IC la sango nyin kono andu minul keta IC kolti wolle ya jia iba adandan nale ka samba fo dame yalon ko IC chairman o be tarla sirinjele to ani ala makorlal ate Essa ko nga falen dan adunta nanne ngalo nyato do mandin do mba jubela nga jamale fana mu Essa Falti anay lo dulal mim ta ani ala cool mbo do mandin fana satale je comme bokay yi fu mu nekk ni ki nga xamne moy Essa Fall mom yeksina dugena fi nga xamne nak moy ci makan ñi nga xamne nak ñoy wa IEC ñom ñoko teru ci bunta gi dar di ko yobbu gunge ko be fi nga xamne nak moy ci table bu mag bi fofu nonu nak ki di IEC chairman di Haji Momar Njie ak ñu mo andal ñu ngi koy xaarandi mom Essa nak mom ngeen gis nonu ak kopatem ak li nga xamne nak moy xaftaan bu weex bu mu sol max waaye ci gàttal rek li xew mooy dafay jébal ay kayit yoo xamantene nag warugal la bu fekkee da nga bëgg a bokk ci jongante lii di December 4 presidential election tey moom la ñëw teewal si nii te bu ci paree rek yaakaar nañ ne tamit dina seexa waxtaan ak ñii di taskati xibaar yi ndax tey àddina si taskati xibaar yi ñu ngi bàyyi ko ci àddina si fu nekk ñëw fii ci biir réew mi kon nag Fatmata mun nga am mbir yi tere comme ni ma ko waxee kan mooy Essa Mbaye Fall yan taxawu la jël xam naa bu ci kanamee rek dinañ ci xuus tuuti.
Ubahaba, thank you so much, Mr. Tijan Jani. And then if you're just watching Grts TV, listening to Grts Radio, Mr. Mbaye Fall has made his way into the election house. He is seated. We can see Mr. Fall with his sky blue hat with his face mask on. And then he is there with the electoral officials on the desk where he is about to present his nomination papers to the chairman of the Independent Electoral Commission, Mr. Ali Mamarinjai. And then over the past days, the documents that we get to hear that these aspiring candidates are presented before the IEC officials include their educational qualifications. We also see their tax clearance. They've also been presenting that, their voter card, their sponsorship letters, their campaign schedules. These are all documents that continue to be asked by the chairman of the Independent Electoral Commission, among other documents that are supposed to be tendered for the IEC officials to scrutinize, and then those are the exact documents that they will exhibit for the public to scrutinize as well, that everybody will have a say in this nomination process. And this is why it is exceptional, it is unprecedented compared to what has been happening in previous years. And while that is ongoing, I would briefly allow Yoro Jalo to tell our fuller listeners what is about to unfold here at the IEC. Yoro?
Jarama Fatmata Sise, musidɓe hettotoɓe laaroɓe GRTS, minen on calmina ha joni ɗo IEC head office ɗo Kanifing ɗo gandanɗa hannde o subaka han woni balɗe 6 guili oɗo nominations fuɗɗi. Han noon sirtingol o wondema rek o waktu ɗo ni ɗo IEC ɗo nda ko jiiton ko ɗo onon nana ɗum woni Essa Mbaye Fall yettima kulle kamme hollirgol tan faale mum jitki mum tan e hamme mum ko tawa e ngal prodal carte e président yaji ɗi pongal walliru décembre balɗe mum e 4 hitande gonɗen nde ɗo ɗum woni ko watta ko waktu ɗo ni yeeso seeɗa garo fotta ar woni incumbent his excellency the president ɗum woni Adama Barrow kamɓe arat kulle hollirgol timmam jitki mum faale mum e hamme mum e kulle e foɗodirgol tan carte président yaji ɗi ndu lewru décembre arow ndu balɗe mum 4 e no nani ɗo ni rek Fatmata Tidiane en kaaliri Essa Mbaye Fall ka wonno lead council mo TRRC e nde ɗum yawti tan kamɓe holliri faale mum
Right, Yoro, we just listened to that. The IEC chairman is about to speak.
Welcome.
Thank you very much, sir.
You are here with nomination,
Yes.
and the procedure is that you have to submit all the documents that are required to be considered. Please take all what is brought one by one.
Thank you very much. By your checklist of the nomination requirements, we are providing the following documents. That is a checklist, which so that you can follow with me the types of documents I'm going to submit.
So, just we know this checklist. Just
That's right. This is copies of my expired and current passports, which prove my citizenship as a Gambian.
Mr. Farr, because just first we go through it, and what we should take, we take it, and what we should not, we give it back to you.
That's good. Thank you very much, sir. And these are copies of my certificates.
Mr. Farr, just first,
Essa just recently before coming to the Gambia was in the Hague at the International Criminal Court, where he served as co-lead counsel of the former Liberian President Charles Taylor, was undergoing trial at the ICC. But then also we had all the cases that Mr. Etham Baifal and the other councils have been looking at as far as the ICC's prosecutions are concerned, and that would include one in Kenya, and then alongside in Sudan, among other countries. And then perhaps if you combine all these experiences together, this wealth of experience, this is why, as I says, he always leads when it comes to taking part in activities based on his wealth of experience. But I'd also mention that during his unveiling at the American International University, that's where he unveiled his interest to run for president in the Gambia. He had outlined his programs and policies that he intends to roll out when he becomes, or when he is elected into office to serve as president of the Republic of the Gambia. That includes looking at the health sector, boosting the health sector. Like he said, the health sector's current state is not up to expectation, and he intends to boost this sector. We will talk about that extensively after the presentation of these credentials. We can't hear any more discussions unfolding there. All the officials, the IEC officials are doing is to verify these documents, to look at them. We don't know what all the documents Mr. Esam Baifal had presented, but what we do know is that the only two documents we had of is the current and then past or expired passports to prove citizenship, and then that of the copies of his certificates, and I bet that would be his academic credentials. But back to his policies and programs, I had mentioned the health sector. He also intends to look at the agriculture sector to mechanize it, but not only to mechanize it, based on his statements at the American International University, where his unveiling was done. He wants to mechanize the agriculture sector, where the country can become food self-sufficient, because ESA believes the Gambia has all what it takes to feed itself, and then to desist from the heavy importation of food and then other products from outside the country. And also he intends to safeguard the natural resources, in his own words, in the country, and to take full control of that, because he believes the Gambia is naturally endowed, and then when these natural resources are safeguarded and protected, it will contribute immensely to the advancement and development of the Gambia. And this is not only what Mr. Esa Baifal had said during that unveiling, and these are all part of his policies and programs, but he had also mentioned the fact that he will ensure that basic amenities, just such as electricity, water supply, among others, are decentralized, because he said most of these developments are focused in urban areas, and then the rural Gambia is neglected in this regard, in his own words. And then he intends to ensure that communities, regions across the country benefit equally from these services that are basic human rights that every citizen in the Gambia should benefit from. So these are some of the things as Baifal intends to look at when he becomes president. And then I am sure in a moment we will get to hear a word from the desk. If you're just looking at your screens, we can see the IEC chairman, and then we can see the senior electoral officers trying to look at the documents carefully, one after the other. And then right after that, SR is expected to face the press. We've seen all the candidates not given interviews at all. We are not 100% sure whether he will, but in the event he does, the media, there is a formidable team of media presence here at the IEC who will be posing questions to the independent presidential aspirant, Mr. Esam Baifal, to pose the respective questions. But that will have to do with a lot of issues that they will be asking. And then right after that, our correspondent who is here with us, IC2 Charter, will be corresponding with us live to bring us up to date as to what has been transpiring over the desk there. But while the scrutiny of the papers at this juncture are on the way at the desk where the IEC chairman is, we will hand over the mic, or I will hand over the mic to Haji to speak to our Sarahule listeners, pending what we are going to hear from the desk as far as Mr. Esam Baifal's submission of nomination papers before the IEC chairman are concerned. Haji.
Nuari siri tise maramu wote kada ngane kau jam di arna kian kene ngabo nomu gunde meker sunga ken no gondi ori na bismillah kada ngane kadina jopa kenganya sagarande nga angat nanti serebe no kanti mirakallo disa man kaso en president en me hutunde no gondi watni kya kadi serebe kadi kunu kenya ni Esam Baifal ake Esam Baifal de kaga tumo be anya sere angat nanti kebero magama yo gono gondi loya nyani sir twinta qorani kayna gadi aloya ko ken gonda de kharan ko tum famu siri ka golle kebe kama ada ke famu lenki nya sagarande nya birambe kadi dakello president me hudne kebe di ada kode nanti hamminni kay angad nanti kana ta gambia re khasum tugaro nun na logo ke ngani man sakana gol nya ngano ndangani ina ho kappa ke nga ko tampinu be no gati yonkin cham pol la nga so gem pol la nga ati migara yurwayditi nanga bo ake Esam Baifal de loya na ngot nanti kebe gara higabe angot nanti gara sere kabe agi golle ke no gondi ara sere kabe ke mo angot nanda golli dingira khoroi dingira no be no angot nanti duna loya pol khoro a golli kunchu no gondi lenkina a nomination ya bare hananani Esam Baifal agara kayit no be no sagundi o ko gara hibe mugu kenari passport no nyako passport no be no angot nanti yakati dangi do hibe ga maka kebe hakati ngama dangi bare har sa wakati nun kinni mai ado chairman kinni IEC Aliou Momoro Njai ake Esam Baifal kaga mukumo be ado jamampo kabelli sere gabe ambiance nga dura setla nga sopoda ni yogono kadi nan kai IEC lu ake har sa mo nyadi anganari ando tamman me sere ganari tankara ke sere banan kaknurono kutundu ni esella nyi ken no ke mpakata ere konti IEC kaya nga korna nga Esam Baifal di gol nyallemu angat nan sebe tindon dangay ado soporo non kutunjo iswata gandi wa IEC chairman trikana kingani Aliou Njai Fatma Nwari.
Right, Nwari Haji Sumundu, Mr. Baji.
Ko baka safo hambe jata le ko putata di kapana keti di IEC ni mure ko meno nomination anto man annene di asene fay ki way tawala faculty IEC chairman o nomi Esam Baifal o be jum di kan president Mohamed Gambia dere oto way tawala 2-1 ku chengomi amunta ko wo man asene faculty annene faculty buku anduna seni sempo man ko di kajiker kayta koko jandi buku katno man ajaw woto opo nane independent bukana ke Gambia ku lebo mana kanye wana ngone matong be kasankela ko folo di karamben nane ponu juk meti Gambia kuroka kiti man sakunda bachama bu yaji tuwan yo no ken kana ke mankan kuno ken di kana ke wahayta tapala yon manji wono corruption ne bare na parcira la ko ja pa benen bachama bu anuson bo bacham bu legen ndu rewtu to fanan wano sal manji eti jam taseno lami tule di gas e di wano sal manji di Gambia dere pan angar yo aken du nyana ti Gambia akela tamambe kat man mo fameti tenge mu jobu bay nafa di o hucilaw pam bay nafa bare pan kanda fan manje be kan no men di pour bajek pour nafa bu kana Gambia anu son du bay nafa fu baja fe Gambia na pana point fo paju committee wono son manje no fu baja fu feti mo famo fu geja anyama andum le baje di mini anu sani Esam Baifal and the Panjuolo or TRC lead council the Babe and no pop kankaran manje di movement Liberia ala pen de kan apesa movement Liberia ko en Charles Taylor di manyala ka kan di movement Liberia nan ku jetu mom di ICC esa o no anan manje o ju mom di kan aloya ola di wati kila uyu
That is the symbol.
oto uyu no mami jata tate andum white waju pe na karankande University of West Indies this karang sa grupo na baye ando de kapana ke bunya hadama dinge kankanan manje na bayi di londo yama ko
it's a boat with a united people. Much obliged.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nuha Baji. We can hear some word from the desk there where the IEC chairman is. We don't know exactly.
One people, one destiny. Yes, topos.
You have the card with you?
The card itself.
You have the card itself?
Thank you. Originals. Yes, but here are the originals for you to sign.
Well, the documents of Mr. Esam Baifal are still being looked into by the officials of the Independent Electoral Commission there, led by IEC Chairman Mr. Aliu Mamarnjai. You're watching GRTS television, and then if you're listening to GRTS radio, we are broadcasting live from the Independent Electoral Commission here along the Battle Harding Highway. It's day 6 of the nomination process. That's the filing in of nomination papers by the respective presidential aspirants and independent candidates who intend to vie for the December 4th presidential elections. And these are activities that shape the electoral process here in the Gambia. And like we had earlier mentioned, this is the first time this is happening, just the presentation of nomination papers before the IEC officials, and then it will be reviewed by the IEC officials one more time, and then subject to public scrutiny, and that will be held on Saturday, where the public will have an opportunity to come and look at all these documents, being it the academic documents, the tax clearance, among all the documents, all the important documents that are supposed to be filed with the IEC to qualify one to become these documents tendered by these respective candidates who have the interest to vie for the
annexed the asset declaration in the affidavit. There is no better way of doing it, as I know it as a lawyer. It's normal for legal practitioners to depose to a document, and then you attach the document that is being deposed to. But if the IEC prefers it a different way, we could do it differently. But strictly speaking, legally, this is correct.
take some advices. We are not tomorrow by 4 o'clock. So we will actually be right before we take one of you guys to come and pick it, and then we brought the people to keep their seat and stuff.
Much obliged. We would do as the IEC requires. We
And for those who are not opportune to be watching the television at this time, those who are listening to radio, and that's outside of the IEC building, we can see supporters of Mr. Esa Mbaye out there. This is a formidable team out there come to accompany their presidential aspirant, Mr. Esa Mbaye, who is interested in vying for the presidency come December 4th. And then this is actually what is transpiring outside there, while the IEC officials interface with Mr. Fall to look at his document to verify them before they could confirm acceptance of this document pending scrutiny and then final confirmation of his candidacy as a candidate in the December 4th presidential elections. We can vote from the...
The other one is the president, which will be by tomorrow, but no problem. And this is the seat. And of course, on Thursday, all your submissions will be subject to a public screening. Thereafter, we'll let you know the situation, whether you are accepted or not.
thank you.
By file just completed the submission of his documents to the IEC chairman. We can hear his candidates jubilating outside there. And then, like we heard the IEC chairman say, his documents will be subjected to public scrutiny pending confirmation of his candidacy as a presidential aspirant of the Republic of the Gambia. And then we are going to the president.
Today is a historic day. It is historic for several reasons. The young men and women of this country are speaking loudly. They want change. Everywhere around the country, people are chanting about their pain, about their distrust of this government, about their dissatisfaction with the terrible state of this country. And that is why I'm standing here today, to stand for those loud voices of disenchantment. It is also another historic day because I have never seen such low play in politics of this country. I never thought I would witness a day in which democracy would be shackled by a very unpopular government. Wanting it, buried, but the Gambian youth, young men and women have refused. We say no. And come December 4, we will show you, we will bring you down, and we will ensure change. Come December 4 would be the beginning of the new dawn and the real dawn for this country. The youth of this country, both men and women, have been longing for this. You think you have spoiled our nomination? No. You may have dampened what has happened here today, but you have strengthened our resolve to make sure that come December 4, we change this government and start the rebuilding of this country. I thank you very much. Could you say again, sir? Of course, it is palpably obvious. It's well known everywhere. We knew for the longest time that there was this plan to sabotage our nominations. And they have been sabotaging us from day one. We've beaten them in Banjul. We've beaten them at our nomination. We've beaten them at buffer zone. We've beaten them at Pilkama. We've beaten them at Gambisara. And they know no better. They know no better than to sabotage. We had contracted the Gambia Transport Union at Birkama, and we paid for 200 minivans. We ordered another 53 minivans and a further 23 minivans. You know, guess what they did? They went to the garage. While these people are preparing to go, they came and paid double the money. So that the drivers would refuse to transport our people. And they succeeded. It's NPP, it's quite obvious. I am a man of truth, and I never hide the truth. It's only the truth that will save us. And it doesn't matter who decided it. I am very disappointed. I am disappointed not because we have fewer numbers than we planned. We were going to blitz this place with 24,000 chanting young Gambian men and women. 24,000. But they could not stand that noise because it would be deafening IG. They wouldn't accept it. And then what did they do? They tried to scuttle it. We sensed it and we asked the IEC to allow us to change our time. But that request was not accepted.
What do you think the crowd really matters?
Crowd doesn't matter. If it mattered, we wouldn't be here. You know what? They can prevent the crowd from coming here, but they cannot prevent them from going to the ballot, to the voting booths and cast their ballots. There is nothing they can do about that. They can dampen our spirits today, but the love pulls like fire. They cannot stop it. MLP! But I have been talking about this for the longest time. I have been talking about it for the longest time. Youth empowerment is fundamental to change this country. We have to end the corruption in this country. This is state capture. This is the best example of state capture. What happened today is the best example of a mafia-type government. What happened today? It epitomizes it. But you see, we are not interested in these little side shows. I forgive them. I forgive them. But you know what? The young Gambian youth would not forgive them for trying to scuttle their democracy, and come December 4, they would punish them for their ill-advised misconduct. Yeah. Look, it doesn't matter how much money I have and where it is. You know, that is my personal concern. It's no business of yours that I have some money here. I have done my assets declaration. Yes, I'd be happy to do so. Look, if I am elected into office, I'm going to be an anti-corruption president. And let me tell you something. If Gambia continues in the direction it is going, many more Gambians would invest abroad and not invest in Gambia. You know why? You know why? Our country is listed as the second worst country in the world to do business. Who would want to bring his money here? That is why I'm running for president. I want to change it, not just for me, but for all Gambians in the diaspora. I want to change it for every Gambian who has the opportunity to invest. I want to make this country a safe and a good place and a competitive place to invest. Well, if I had dual citizenship, wouldn't I stand here and renounce it? That is the most nonsensical accusation I have ever seen, because it makes no sense. Just imagine, what would a Senegalese citizenship do for me that Gambian citizenship cannot do for me?
Nothing.
But you suggesting, well, I'm not Mr. Jassy, sir. Look at me. I am very handsome. And in addition to that, I have, look, if I had Senegalese citizenship, it does not do anything for me that Gambian citizenship doesn't do. And the thing is, if I had it, I would have renounced it. It's a simple thing. Thank you very much. My time is up. So thank you very much. Well, the rules are the rules. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Who is the GRTS person here?
Submitted his nomination papers to the Independent Electoral Commission, and then he is walking away now using the same route that he used to go out and then meet his supporters who are out there to receive him. And then Yoro, Tijan, Haji, Mr. Baji, we heard him say there. But one key thing that caught my attention has to do with the wild rumor that has been ongoing about his dual citizenship. And then he said, what would a Senegalese citizenship do for him that a Gambian citizenship wouldn't have done for him? And then he would have renounced his Senegalese citizenship if he had it, but in the first place, that is not what obtains. This is what we just heard him say, and then we can hear from his tone and then from his, charisma that he's very optimistic to take up leadership of this country when he is voted into office come December 4th, because he has a lot of things that he outlined that he intends to change December 4th. And just like we can see outside there that our cameras are showing us, it is a very huge crowd out there that accompanied Mr. Asa Fall, and they're set to receive him, to take him where exactly he is. And then we will be discussing this in our respective local languages momentarily. But now we'll shift our attention to our own correspondent who is here with us this morning, Madam Aissatou Jata Gassama. She has been keeping an eye on that press briefing, and then perhaps we might miss some of the details. And Aissatou is there to bring us up to date. Aissatou, good morning. Tell us what has been happening there at the press desk.
Thank you very much, Fatimata, and to the rest of the panelists there. Well, after days of witnessing series of submission of credentials of president, political parties and independent aspirants, we just witnessed Mr. Isam Fall presents his nomination papers to the returning officer of the IEC, which will undergo public scrutiny, after which if he meets the requirements provided by the election house, then he'll be qualified to vie for the December 4th presidential election. So after the presentation, shortly, Mr. Fall spoke to the press. Well, he's not happy. Mr. Fall is telling us that someone is trying to, precisely, he accused the NPP for undermining him because they had to redouble the vehicle that they station at the for petrol station, at least to bring his supporters to the ground. But then they are disappointed knowing that these people, when they are to undermine them. Also, he made one key important thing as part of his agendas, that is the youth empowerment. Mr. Fall said once he's elected to office, he will try by all means, his government will empower youth and the people in the diaspora. And another he made it mention is that Mr. Fall is very optimistic of winning the December 4th elections. And some journalists also asked him about his dual citizenship, because it's been murmuring everywhere. So one might think it might affect his candidature as an independent aspirant. But all that he said is no. He has only one citizenship, that is the Gambia. And then he said when he's elected into office, he's ready to declare his asset to the public.
Right, thank you so much. I see to Jata there. Many thanks. We'll definitely get back to you, because the incumbent, that's the President of the Republic, Mr. Adama Barrow, will be here at 11 o'clock to present his nomination papers to the chairman. But one thing I must have missed is the part Esa spoke about, and that has to do with sabotage. At some point, everybody was wondering what kind of sabotage he was talking about, but he had said he had hired vehicles that were supposed to transport his supporters from across the country, and then the agreement at some point was flouted by what he said, the NPP party. We are unable to confirm that, but these are allegations coming from the independent aspirant, presidential aspirant, Mr. S. Ambaifa. But we will leave it there. And then Tijan, bëgg nga waxtaan ak suñ mbokki wolof yi ñi nga xamante ne ñu ngi seetaan ak li fi xew tey. Esa moo joxe document sami tey, nomination paper sami.
waaye jërëjëfati ki nga xam ne nag mooy Fatimata, comme ni nga ko waxee rek tey gis nañ kii di Essa Mbye Fall bu mu yegsee fii IEC jébal na li nga xam ne moom mooy ay kayitam yi. moom nag mbiram xawoon naa yàgg tuuti parce que kayit yi mu indi dafa mel ni nag xaw naa sakan. seet nañu lépp, gestuwaat nañu lépp. IEC dal dinañu ko nangu ci moom jox ko li nga xam ne moom mooy receipt boobu mooy wane ne li ñu ko laaj jébal na ko. waaye li xew mooy dinañu gestuwaat mbiri bu baax a baax fii ba samedi. xam ñu bari yaakaar nañ ne bu dimanche dinañ mun a xam ñan ñoo war a bokk ci jongante presidential election. gis nga bi mu seexee waxtaan ak ñi nga xam ne ñooy tasxati xibaar yi mu am lu bari loo xam ne ŋàññe na nguur gi. waaye comme Fatoumata li nga ko wax rek li gën a jàppa ñi ñi seeni xel mooy ay xibaar yoo xam ne mu ngi doon tasaare ci xarala yu mujj yi di internet. ñu wane ne moom doomi réewi Sénégal la, doomi réewi Gambia la. mu ngi mel ni daal moom pàkk ñaari boor la.
te leeral na ko fi tey.
te leeral na ko ne moom amul benn kayit boo xam ne mooy firndeel ne moom doomi sénégalais la. parce que lim ci teg mooy lan la ko doon sénégalais di njëriñ boo xamante ne doon Gambien du ko njëriñ. loolu leeral na ko. ñu dem ci li nga xam ne mooy sabotage, parce que bu mu ne sabotage ñëpp dañ jaaxle woon.
kenn xamutoon lu muy wax,
kenn xamutoon lan la Essa Mbye Fall doon wax ci sabotage. sabotage bi mooy ñoom dañ def seen waajal ñu dem ak transport union def seen tëralin fay pour ay moto lu weesu 200 moto. mi ne ci moom li mu wax.
waaw
waa NPP ñoo xëy dem ci suuf fay driver yooyu noonu gële ak van yi lu weesu moom Essa Mbye Fall lu mu leen fay.
maanaam double price bi.
double price bi. ba ñooñu nangu ñoo indi ay niñam pour ñuy dar ko gunge ko fi nga xam ne nag mooy ci IEC bi.
lii fi xew tey.
waaye mi ne nag lii yëngalut ko ndax lu xew mooy daf ko gën a ñaax moom ci lu mu wax ne luñ lal yépp dara yëngalut fa mu taxaw dina yokk li nga xam ne moom mooy cere yokk li nga xam ne mooy ñeex loolu mooy dañ ko gën a jox doole.
te dégg nañ ko mu ne moo dem Banjul yëngal fa moo dem Brikama ba yëngal fa
yëngal Brikama
yëngal Brikama
yëngal Gambi Sarr non waa ji moom mu ngi
moom moo ko wax kon
waaw,
donc ñu dem si kala Tidiane comme nga fum amoy ñami Essa Mbay Fala yala kaytol di IEC chairman la jang andu IEC chairman dun na do ku ñul lebi yala kaytol di bari ko mo jamal bi jay mim fo sako kabrani kibar talal kacata mammi baka janda bitanga je kafuba wala dandang abese ko wala natinan wala ba dandang ko de Tidiane mbadi man dun ko li safo ko min tambita jang wat dantan ko no ja
Fatmata yemi fo wolom toñati Essa Mbay Fall ala serar kaytol be futandi IEC lale nka min batu nun dron wolom abe kacha sutungo min sotola anin kibari janjanna ay kuma jamal le fo min ya lon ko ay masakunda ay woltumi jele atela jerol to min ya lon ko ay mol fango hatinu ala kumol kono wolom social media ye ñim fola ko Essa ay Senegal banko kayto sotole ay Gambia di ya kayto fana sot an yalo na luwato ni wobe bulu ite lola no presidential election
nga Dr. Cissé Jala tasendi
ha so ate wala fo ako wotabul ako Gambia din kayto drong wala babul ako katu ni babulun jannabe futala nu jang abe Senegal banku di ya bo sendilal ako ba Senegal banku di ya wo ba ante na Gambia banku di ya ta na fala minna anim fanan atiamuta dokol mi yalon ko nin December 4 ay bankota abo lekela kabirim funding kel ke cemetery yandi wolbe anim fanan ka fanko nyin ka fanko fanan dada kende ke
ka corruption o bay
ka jenko nin tapaleal ko wol fanan be bay ka fami corruption a wolbe ketala ala hamel na ko lati min ni adiala bari farmata mba boy ndila nin damen na don ako wolom sabotage sabotage ay min fo wolom ate Essa Mbay Fall ako ay motol le loas ka tambini ni Gambia transport min siata moto keme fulat a foroto a fango nengot ako NPP call wolle tata nin dumala ka wol drive wol jo e ka fine double price nyin kamal wo drive wol canal atela mol cikanam banko dulal to taring yena dandang IEC
amunta te ko do min jo nate do la faw
do la fami siata tetat nyin kamal drong atela mol ite wol natila no IEC la ay wole tumirofo bara nyin ftandi ko ama jiji hade atata Brikama
aka je mamandi
ay je mamman
atata Banjul
ay Banjul mamman ay Gambi Sarr tay ay Brikama ba ñofar ñoka
aba dula la ñel Tidiane baraka barake nga microphone di yoro jawla yoro o jarama yoro Essa nu ari Essa nu yahi thank you yoro
jarama Fatmata Cissé gonga Essa ari Essa yeyi jarama Fatmata Cissé musibe Gambia larobe hetorobe GRTS o waktu do minen non gonani ha joni do kanifing elections house do woni galle IEC mawde do no gandana han odo subaka Essa Mbay Fall kambe ko candidate ari hollirgol faale mum hambe mum en jitki mum tan kulle daranagol dum woni kulle dabbugol president yaaje leydi Gambia do du lewru December balde mum nayi wornugol carte porgol do watta leydi Gambia do Essa Mbay Fall non ne ari ko ardi ko do e kayti sede yande kulle hollirgol faale mum hambe mum tan e dabbugol odo place mawdo he leydi kayri kewdi o funtini kayri kewdi o funtini o holliri be jewridi ha dum woni chairman mo IEC Aliou Mamadou Ndiaye okki dum kayrol wondema de be njii kayri di addidi te holliri wondema de pol kambe wawa tawe podondiral ngal kono non ko ñane asset fof labata ñanden be pota dum labbinan ne ndaw ko ngaduda ko do kayrole kamen IEC ko be cohli ko ndaw a wawat daro taweda ngol podondiregol dabbugol president yaji ndaw wata dum heb dum don ko ñane asset inchallah labata Essa Mbay Fall non de iwi don arno yewtidi e windobe kibaruji be gandanda ɓe lamdino ɗum toon kono haade ɗum noon o haali wiyo holliri kamɓe tan e holare mum tan e darne mum no miijori e miijo mum wondema lewru décembre balɗe mum 4 e bawɗe Allah kam ñanden o wiyete kam gagnima e ɗum woni président yaji leydi Gambia ɗi nde yaari noon o wiyo o woni wonno goɗɗum ni han wonno ko yi ko hettinani ko tawa hen tan e ko wiyo ko sabotage noon ta nani ɗum woni para wat hunde ten goɗɗo ara tan e ñobnanma ɗum ma wasa ɗum wasa wat e ɗum noon o holliri o tuumi e ɗum woni parti NPP o wiyo ko ɓen mban palano wat nomination mum o sabotage o wiyo no Esafal haaliri ni o wiyo ko luuno motoji ko yata motoji 200 to brikama kulle ɓen mbawa ɗum addana yimɓe mum ɓe tawe e oɗo nominations kono NPP naaɓe gimmi no Esafal haaliri ni NPP naaɓe gimmi joɓoyi price ɓurɗo price double price e kulle tan waɗa yimɓe mum ɓe mbawa addu kamen e naftora e ɗin ɗon motoji o wiyo ɗum woni hunde ko garanaɗa noon kam e ɗum ko sabotage kulle tan e wata e nomination mum mo kulle ɓe ñomnana ɗum o tan e kono yo hay noon mbo holɗumen holla wondema de e kam Essa Mbay Fall o yana to Bufa zone to o lanci toon o yehi Brikama o lanci toon o yehi Brikama Ba o lanci toon o yehi Banjul o lanci toon te noon o yo o continue lancugol tan e ngol lancugol noon Essa Mbay Fall wiyo kono noon hay noon o wiyo o yaafima NPP naaɓe koɓe mbaɗi ko e ɓara wiyo ɗum wonono goɗɗum ni hen ko ɓeydi ɗum doole tan e ɓeydi ɗum doole tan te yiltorgol ɓaawo ala hen famata I think Essa also made maybe the escapes he made mention of one thing that he have forgiven the NPP for that counter
that sabotage he said
sabotage and then but notwithstanding that is going to be like strength going to add more strength on his zeal and will to go for what he is interested in.
Absolutely, we'll keep an eye on that. On jarama yoro, haji somudu maremo.
Nuari siri maremu soninko Essa Mbay Fall ayangiri sasa kundu agara sefekanu benu bangandi angat nanti hibe ganya sefekanu no kunu yogono ati enyi halle nogondi ida golden dangini do Gambia Transport Union kumenu marantenga jamane ndagana lienga moton kibarunga birambe iga katni sopotonu litni banjun na like kota ke mundi kengani ke nomination kodanga atibare anya hoye angat nanti NPP ko ara kunya tuma nanti yallo wurera na jonko tuga hibe kampungi ikikara jonko be tuga kendangi halede Essa falti atiki ampima bari li December nakatonga birambe igi yankanine iga korona mekebe kama Essa falta tangana hay idaga buwa zone kere ida no mbogo illoy igirno idaga banjun ida no nyamo gonda me ngangon nande kebe galagami igirno idaga gambisara ida no kayonko igirno idaga birika mabba ati kesunya haramare munyanga nande kubeno gabogo atangana hay Gambia ron kunne ati sorolini kanwa na lini na burunde pans jamane keno gonde ati fofu makenyare na kariye be ga ron kunne tifanka magunga ado jamane na bure angar nande kasara be gari ijonko nanta ga akentu humanu agar hibe ko ogara hibe muga akanne bakara kendi parce que journaliste on man ngara ke mu dangara kebe wari bara nyesefe angar nande kebe ga kite ngara mbi laga lagamini eduna so ampayni ni ikiya kati watni Essa fale sefe kanu nyani kunga ati Gambia fon nan kaunde angana hay ati itampi ti miskina nga sage hallenga ada konchu dia angan nan daga ndaki ida tirndi birambe ken compagnie sorondi siri Essa Mbay Fall angana ke Mbay Fall memo ganas ma Senegalese nyane ma Gambiane ari ken no kurande ati kede ikeni Gambian kenye parce que atangana hay Senegalese na may dabarni ngani Gambian kenga nan dabarna kenni ini Gambiare me adi passeport nun kini angal nan disere passeport no beno hoka sundo hokulumba adu sukini e ke akati IC golnyan kake aro trinke ngame Essa Fall kagat mo loya gore nyane ara kiti gore immanka ko TRRC nangiri kinga chastelonu kendo ani gollini duna kiti kombo koron no gondi angat na daken Essa Fall to ko nyimi du man tenga no be kenni loya ko nyi kebe gara tunji kenyana amadam nga agara pare mo be dabari nyeti abudu kulle kana ga madam ke pare kundunye o ya nga madam ke wa nyeti abudu ke mo gonchiro ni siri akanne nga Alhaji Nuabaji Fatmata Sise.
All right, thank you so much, Haji Sumbundu. Nuha?
Haji Jarama, kamil ko jentuno ko di bujono be television hambe jatul ko tata Independent Electoral Commission de tanu manje man manje oyno man manje o mangum de erungu de mo bete Gambia on ko Essa Mbay Fall na sensen kayta ko wayta wala tu IEC bar nana banu mi mana puru manko la ko kami ko dike kacike skibarasi mu tuji janje wana sankel meno nane bukan ka jupe warne ku jo ka wujene kana bajnya parce que na boba si bossa sana jow maluwa si pour mu gambia transport union pour mu mambe ko ngolen ko rambe no si motasi na jo ka cham tuwa ban nane bare man ko kanu meno buku keti e parti eti NPP le president Adama Barrow patiela nane ko ku jomi ku double price eti ba chama bo amunta ko ngaron si motasi ko reba ko mangu be jow pour boroka beti akila manko langu no sigode sora woto nane kanka on manje nana kila na bonke bari démocratie si jawtu ni mana sanken eno nane popo akila bukana kamida akila di na gejaw ku juko meti akila wanam de baye bukana ku jupo anun ku koli ku kati ja mana kila ja jum fu jum drong ko ku jakot ban nane bukana kiti Gambia tan ko monya falinge ku mange ku mamambe ka faling mo meti Gambia ku fondinke ku di ku ndina ku woto nane o jawjato di bukana kola kammi Gambia sara na yo kambo mitini yema ko kana ko tu barakila ko brikama bopop nane na yakambo anu sanu juju ko bajomi esuketi brikama ba babe po bu fasone yo pona rek nane bukan ka jufa ko bibi nane yo ko jukumi yo buku ku kolimi wo kam diko de kana kila mom pa nana bonketi fereng ak asofti di waf bare démocratie pene jaw anyama ni ma wanam e jaw eno di mo fete Gambia nane jeki jam mo fete Gambia son ko sibakira nane bayit wande jaw won manje walle gen wala sanu jukumi wamide jaay nane baytu won manje jok japo rano na sanke popo di mukana man manje moyno mi di mukana meti di kapana keta kila eti anyireti Senegal eti Gambia na kila anyireti Senegal Gambia endi anyireti Senegal pa lang waita eti Senegal pour mabila ajub bare kantu mo na kila malegen ajawja Senegal na repo ala ko jababe na repo oto yo ni yisi se meti kanka won manje obaji fuko di akila anu sani no no man enomo ko mako ko Isa Mbay Fall aju aregumi di chicken skipara sinana banum di SNA waita la nomination ni IEC chairman Alhaji Modou Jai tate tankonem IEC headquarters Independent Electoral Commission oto ulu kasafew di kamil ka gentu na de bu joro ni langen be Fatuma janding president Adama Barrow di parti yalla yeti NPP pour nomination ni sitalanso nyendi yokon Fatumata.
Let me take it to Noha Baji, and then viewers, listeners, that's all we have time for at this juncture. Esa Mbaifal, independent presidential aspirant, has successfully submitted his nomination credentials to the Independent Electoral Commission's chairman, Ali Mamanjai, and he is left with his huge crowd. And we're expecting the president of the Republic of the Gambia, the incumbent, who is also the leader of the National People's Party, NPP, at 11 a.m. And that's just a few minutes away, where we'll also bring you live proceedings as they unfold here at the election house. But for now, we'll hand over back to our studios along the MDI Road and at mile 7. And we promise to be back here at 11 a.m. with more live commentary. Bye from us.
Nomination Watch, coming to you live on GRTS from the 30th of October to the 5th of November. Join us every day during this period from 9 a.m. Meet the aspirants. Saturday, 30th, Joseph H. Juve, Independent. Marie Sok Jobate, Independent. Alhaji Mamadi Kurang, Independent. And Matthew Gummins, Independent. Sunday, the 31st of October, Ibrahim Tabora Mane, Independent. Momodou Ba, Independent. Bankole Ahazi, Independent. And the Alliance for Reconciliation and Development. Monday, the 1st of November, Gambia for All. United Democratic Party. Gambia Moral Congress. And All People's Party. Tuesday, the 2nd of November, Mamadi KS Camara, Independent.
Gambia Democratic Congress,
Citizens Alliance,
and Momodou Ba, Independent.
Wednesday, the 3rd of November, Gambia Alliance for National Unity, GANU.
PDOIS,
Gambia Action Party,
and Tamsir Jase, Independent.
Thursday, the 4th of November, Esambay Fall, Independent.
National People's Party,
Matar Nyang, Independent.
Friday, 5th November, Papa Fall, Independent.
National Unity Party,
and the Democratic Party.
do stay tuned.
Assalamu alaikum baɗigolu mbal konton nambal bisimlahi la programme oto al jibe min kanal GRTS télévision oto jang e ka fo mi na banko dum programme net min yalon ko nga kere kere gambianol bele min be gambe jang anin dunya ton ko nano be bawo nam amantu mo poto ko December min kanani nan sango karto be fayla gambia kono janne ndum karto na be fayla politiko ni ko wala diamol kasiya wala nabi ngamba ma fula soton fejan studio kono pour yena nga ñoo kono to diya cha kayro la ko wala musol fana nyanta kata damu kala pour kayro ñe tenkon anin social media ko bebe ko nañi programme o kono janne e ka programme o mi na banko annal badi malem fatmata chati min be siri mbulbale ka fole anti binta damfa ni boto to ena min be siri marale ka fole anti mariama jamme ngal be bismillah programme o to binta na follow te ya bawo ni ko election o kana carte fayo kana diamul kasiya kumol kasiya mamon kasiya rusum tol musulu simfanyal be mol lamini ya nim keta fengo min ta nyanta bete ala sa bete abar nim keta fengo fan to min nyanta tinya ala man tankalo la modwa bawo mbebe gambie le jang tol musulu follow nyanta simfanya di le tala pour ka kairo nin tanko nyen sabatin gambia ja.
Assalamu alaikum Gambia, assalamu alaikum Gambia musol. Mbe Gambia dingo kontonna amari be dawoda dunia kono. Fatu mbe kontan la pour que la nyinin karo jabi. Because niko na banko ni amo ifa mobafula na banko Cairo lebe sabatere. Ntol musol mi na nyantote wale mga Cairo sabatindi sol kono. Nga sabatindi nsinyol tema nga sabatindi na dandangol tema ninko nga sabatindi na dandangol tema nsinyol tema musolle ka dadaro ke jama ha anim fanan nin dimbal ka kacha kato politiko aman jala konte ka fo nyamin sign mimma tan nin flote nin carte ke so bebul ni wato sita ye fenti yete la carte fay momo ye nyanto sotole min diate mi yaje